Hello again, everyone. Chris Matthew with Forbidden Knowledge News. Today, I want to welcome Dr. Melinda Greer. She is a board-certified pediatrician who has been practicing in the American heartland for over 20 years. She was a medical technologist prior to beginning medical school at the age of 33. She is also an experiencer who, over her life, became increasingly mystified by an array of strange occurrences. From an early age, she realized that these type of paranormal events did not seem to disrupt the life of most of her fellow humans, a revelation that often made her question her sanity as well as questioning the very nature of reality. Melinda, welcome. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us. This is going to be an awesome conference, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your presentation. I'd love for you to give us a little description of what you're going to be presenting in Laughlin.
Well, from a very early age, I've had some pretty unusual experiences. I didn't know at the time that most other people didn't experience these things until I started telling others of them. My mom was a little bit appalled. My friends were, they just thought I had a good imagination or something. So I learned not to talk about a lot of these things. But from a very early age, I had everything from what may have been a near-death experience at around the age of 4 to 5, or at least in what people call a near-death-like experience, where I went to an altered dimension and experiences things that I was not able to experience on the physical plane. And I think that kind of started the whole journey for me, because after that, I did not accept my circumstances. I did not accept the religion I'd been born into. I did not accept what people told me as being necessarily true. It might be true for them, but wasn't necessarily true for me. So it kind of began this lifelong quest, and it's been kind of like a series of rabbit holes since then, because I've had so many different paranormal experiences from, oh gosh, UFOs, obviously, being at a UFO conference, but also I've seen Bigfoot on 3 occasions. I have, after a second near-death experience when I was, 55? Well, no, it was 2013, whatever I was then. I started seeing ghosts at the hospital where I worked, and that was kind of new to me. I've had out-of-body experiences. I've had an experience where there was a physical phenomenon that involved geography that I can't quite explain. It's a long story. And then following that, it was like I was hearing commentary. I mean, it wasn't commentary that was audible necessarily, but there was definitely something scrutinizing me. It felt very much non-human. And it had commentary on what I had just done and how I had perceived it and how I had reacted to it. So I was more weirded out by the commentary than I was about the actual phenomenon itself. So, just strange occurrences. I've had missing time. I've had, I can't say that I've ever been abducted by alien beings, but, when you have missing time, you just don't know what happened. You haven't a clue. But, I've had a lot of unusual occurrences. They've all been challenging. They've all taught me not to be fearful of things just because it's unknown. I mean, I've gotten over so many fears, and so it's been challenging, but it's also been a learning experience. And like I said, it's been ongoing, and it still is ongoing. So I still have strange things that I can't explain, and so I'm looking for answers, and that's a part of this conference. It's a lot of people sinking. A lot of fellow experiencers are going to be there, and I hope somehow we can come up with a methodology of maybe gaining some answers just from each other, if from nowhere else, from mainstream science hasn't helped us out a bit. So I think there's a lot of people looking for answers.
Definitely so. And like you said, this is going to be a great place for that, because it brings, not only paranormal experiencers and UFOs, but all types of different strange phenomenon that you can't explain, like you said, Bigfoot, all these things that I think are a lot more connected than many people realize. I've had many contactees and experiencers on my show that have had multiple, not only paranormal experiences, but contact or abduction or UFO experiences at the same time, during these times in their lives. It seems that there's a profound connection between these. Is that something that you would agree with, that there's a really big connection with the paranormal and ufology and even Bigfoot, some of these, stranger occurrences?
I tend to agree because it's also unreal at times, but it's also like one Bigfoot occasion when the Bigfoot ran across the road in front of me and basically just went into the forest and was gone. And he should have been visible. He was huge. He was very tall. He should have still been visible. There were no leaves on the trees. And it was just like he got behind a tree trunk and was suddenly gone. It was like, I can't explain it. I can't fathom that he could have hidden behind that narrow, skinny tree trunk, but somehow, because it temporarily blocked my view, I mean, I have no explanation. So much of it is inexplicable. It's bizarre. I mean, you can't, if you're rational and you're logical and you're a scientist, it's unfathomable, some of it. And that's why it's so disturbing, because for a long time you think you're crazy. And, you finally decide, no, there's enough people out there that have similar experiences that aren't crazy. And, I'm a functional human being in society, so I don't think I'm crazy. But for a long time, you're kind of in that spot. So,
lately it seems like it's, becoming more mainstream and acceptable, especially because of our own government, Pentagon, the mainstream media talking about UFOs lately, saying, yeah, they exist, they're real. Do you think that that's gotten more people to be a little bit more accepting of the subject?
I think so. When you have credible scientists and credible experts in the field, and then like astronomers, and there's been a lot of even physicists, quantum physics has kind of opened up a lot of options there as to multidimensional aspects of being and things like that. And so, like I said, I question the very nature of reality at this point, because even though we utilize what we see as a consensual reality, you and I agree that, this is that, and, we agree what a table is, we agree what red is, that sort of thing. But, it makes you question that very aspect of your own being as to, if you were able to perceive differently, would you truly see a different reality? And I suspect we could. Cats see a different reality than what we see. Dogs see a different reality than what we see. So why should we assume that our reality is the best or the only? It's not. So
now, with your experiences, would you say the majority of them have been positive experiences or a mix of both? Would you say?
A lot of it's, the retrospectoscope, the hindsight, it's very positive. But at the time, when you're struggling to be, a preteen and then a teen, and you're going through all this stuff that the other kids aren't having to go through, it can be pretty daunting. And to try to navigate all that, as a young adult and then an adult, and, keep going in the mundane and the real world, quote unquote, it's daunting. So I would say at the time it was, when you wake up from experience of missing time and you have no idea what just happened, and you still have to drive home and you don't quite know where you're at, then it's a very scary experience. I can look back on it now and laugh, but at the time it was disturbing. It was very disturbing. So I think retrospectively, it's made me a very different person than I otherwise would have been. I see deeper into topics than I would have probably if I hadn't had these experiences. And so it makes me think, and it opens up a lot of avenues of thought that I probably wouldn't have had if I hadn't had these experiences.
Now, do you find it strange at all that they are coming out with all this type of disclosure, kind of slow drip disclosure right now? It kind of really started in 2017 after that big New York Times article, but really in 2020, it amped up, along with the pandemic, we got this UFO mania. So I find it a little strange. I don't always, I really don't trust the information coming out of our own government, but that's just me. I'd like to get your thoughts. What do you think? Why do you think now all of a sudden is the big push for UFO disclosure?
I suspect, as with everything else, there's not much choice. That it's either going to happen and it's going to be controlled through them, or the narrative is going to be controlled through another avenue. That's my suspicion, but I have no idea. Like everything else, I'm clueless. You have to.
But that's a good suspicion, because I think I might agree with that.
Yeah, you just have to speculate and see where it pans out. So.
Definitely. Well, we sure do live in interesting times, and it's going to be awesome to meet you at the conference and hear your presentation. Now, between now and then, for people that would like to find out more about you and your experiences, is there any social media, website, or anything that people can go to?
I'm a total introvert. I just
total introvert. So you'll be hanging it all out at the conference. That'll be great.
Yeah, I've written a chapter for an upcoming book. The book is called A Greater Reality, the New Paradigm of Consciousness and the Paranormal and the Contact Modalities. And the name of my chapter is The Experiencer's Closet, because that's what I'm doing, is I'm coming out of a big closet. A lot of my colleagues don't know about any of this, just friends, family, my poor husband. So
that's great, because we do need more people like you to come out and share your experiences, because me personally, I think that is the best way to learn about this phenomenon right now, because the science has let us down, like you said. A lot of the more woo-woo researchers who just want to, they say they can communicate with them at any time, and this is the direct answer. I don't think that's the right way either. I think we need to meet somewhere in between, bring, the nuts and bolts researchers and the consciousness researchers together, like we're doing at this conference, and maybe we could learn, a lot more. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your stories and presentation there.
I'm looking forward to being there. I think it'll be fun meeting everyone.
Well, definitely. Well, thank you so much, Melinda, for coming on, and we will see you in Laughlin, and we'll see all of you. This year's Laughlin UFO Mega Conference is going to feature over 36 scientists, researchers, and contactees. They're going to be presenting incredible disclosures over 7 days. You can now register for the full week, for half a week, or even by the day or session. And not only is there going to be over 36 amazing presentations, you're going to get a skywatch, meet and greets, and exclusive film screenings. And there's always going to be only one presentation at a time, so you don't have to miss anything. And did I mention that there's no longer any mask mandates in Nevada? So you can now enjoy this amazing 7-day conference mask-free. Just go to their website, LaughlinUFOMegaconference.com, and register now. Last year's conference was absolutely amazing. This year's is going to be even better. So join us for an incredible 7 days of education and disclosure at the Laughlin UFO Mega Conference.